welcome back once again. Here we are at week 2, game 2, and I'm with the head coach of the Oakland Patriots, and it's time again for another Inside the Headset. Coach, how you doing?
Doing good, Stuart.
Well, Friday night you came away with a win. You went over there to Independence and got on the Eagles, got on them quick, and just let the boys play a little football, run up and down the field, and come away with a W. Talk a little bit about going over to Independence.
Yeah, we started out, 20 points right away. I thought, that was good for us. I was surprised as anybody. I didn't think we would do that, and real proud of our guys' effort. There's a bunch of stuff we can work on to get better, but, they came out and they took care of business and, played like you want them to play. Yeah.
So level was up as far as intensity. You saw it in their eyes. You felt like they were ready when they went out through the tunnel over at Independence. You felt like they were, like you said, they were tired of beating up on each other. They were ready to get out there and hit somebody new, so to speak, and get underway and play the game, and play a full game with officials and kickoffs and kickoff returns and things like that.
Yeah, we hope that they were prepared, but there's nothing like getting out there under the lights, and we started a couple sophomores, and, that was the first big game for them, and, they were kind of bright-eyed there at the beginning, and then they settled in. We had some sophomores that did really good for us, 2 offensive linemen did really well for us, and then a couple guys on special teams, sprung the blocks that allowed Woody Washington to have that punt return for a touchdown. Breaking in a new kicker, missed 2 extra points. That's kind of unheard of at our school. So
we need to miss them now and not later on in the season.
Right, and I have a feeling that he's going to correct it, and I don't know that he's going to miss too many more of those. He's a real talented kid, Derek Taylor, but it was a unit. So when you make all those extra points in a row, it's all based off the 11 guys, the unit, not necessarily the kicker. But you got to have a kicker, and our kicker's real talented. Now we're going to get all 11 guys on the same page, and we're going to start making those extra points 100% of the time. So there were some things that we came away with that we need to work on. Came away beat up a little bit. We got several guys injured, and that makes it tough for this week. But it makes it just like the playoffs. You play a tough opponent like Independence on the road, and then you got to go back on the road and play Maryville, and you're not 100%. You don't have all your guys, but that happens a lot of times in the playoffs, and the next guy has to step up.
Well, and I think it was good for you to take the team on the road before you have to. Independence was a big game, but you can still kind of make do and make things work even if you're on the road, but you're still kind of close to home. This next one, logistically, we have to pack everything. It's a different environment. You're traveling all the way across the state. So logistically, everything that you need to do a game here at Oakland High School has to be packed up in wagons and buses and taken. And how did that go as far as going over to Independence with the 2018 crew and getting everything logistically set up and getting ready to do a football game?
Yeah, everybody's got their role. We've kind of gone over everybody's responsibilities. I thought it was interesting to notice that one of our coaches didn't bring our signs. It kind of switched our personnel groupings, and then one time we had 10 on the field, then another time we had 12. I had to burn a timeout. I got a penalty. All those things, I got a feeling won't happen again.
Right.
So, like I said, it's good that it happens early, and not 14 weeks into the season or something like that. So we as coaches, we've got to correct our mistakes. We got to make sure things like that never happen again. And it was just one of those things where I think in the grand scheme of things it was probably overlooked, but it became a big deal on Friday.
Well, and you've done it so many years, and I guess a lot of people understand when you get to a 6A, you got a little bit more help, but you got a lot more kids. When you're down at that lower level of a 3A or 2A, you're literally filling up the bus with gas. You're loading everything yourself and making sure, and maybe even driving the bus back and forth. But it's a little bit different, and you have to depend on them. But when things don't connect or go off like you should, you're not taking it out on them personally. You're just taking it out and say, hey, this is a professional organization. We don't do this every day, so I need you to kind of focus in and get things done when we're ready to go. When the light's on, it's as Paul McCartney said, 1, 2, 3, 4 means on the. When I say 4, we go.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just part of it. Most of us have all been together for a while. Got some new guys on the staff. We just got to make sure that we all are on the same page, just like those players on Friday.
Yeah, and they depend on you to know what you're supposed to do. Well, let's shift gears and move into that game on Friday night. No, it's not that we're not familiar with Maryville, but we're not familiar with the 2018 crew. You do have some information on them. They got some information on you. That piece is relevant. Tight quarters on Friday night. What I mean is it's not an open, aerated type facility where there's a lot of, I guess what I would call in a newspaper, white space in between the stadium. It's a real condensed, tight little arena, tight little setting that they like to play in over at Maryville. And they won Friday night, beat Knox Cath, and they're going to be ready to come after you.
Yeah, their stadium is one of the nicest you'll see in the state. Their field's turf. They got a great environment. Their fans are always packing it full. I love the fact that they have the state championship banners, I think it looks wonderful over there. Now, don't get me wrong, whatever money they spent on the field and the stadium, they sure didn't spend on the visitors' locker room. Our sideline is the tightest I've ever been.
I've been over there.
Like I said, you're trying to bring everybody. You don't want to leave kids at home. You want everybody to experience what it's like to play a wonderful storied program like Maryville, but then you barely have enough room to fit everybody on the sideline. And then the locker room holds about 27, 28 people, I believe. And then you're on the side of a hill, and you got all their fans leaning over the railing, listening to your halftime adjustments. It's one of those deals where you got to make the most of it. Luckily, we've been over there a couple times, and we know what kind of logistical nightmare it is in pregame and halftime, and of course, don't even get me started on the sidelines.
Right.
But we've got our guys literally have to lean up on the fence so that we have enough room, and those are things that you shouldn't be worrying about. You got enough problem worrying about. Maryville and their football team they put out on the field. That's the biggest problem you got to deal with. But there's no doubt that we're happy to go over there and play on a turf field in an awesome stadium with a lot of tradition and a lot of great fans.
Well, and I'm always about this, and I learned in youth football when I first got here in '98. I've been a part of Tennessee football for a long time, and always around the Middle Tennessee area. It's always been kind of, whether it's youth or all the way up to, let's keep it about the game and not about all the other things that are going on outside the game, and try to give both teams an equal chance there a little bit. Yeah, it is a home field advantage, but you're right. I think the guy that designed Bristol International Motor Speedway on that banking definitely designed the visitor side, because it's about 27, 28 degrees down on that other side. Your ankles get a workout if you're on that visitor side. But, hey, it's the way they designed it. You draw that street, card, and, then they come over here, but, it is what it is, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, it's just part of it, I'm sure that, we'll have more to worry about than a tight sideline or a small locker room.
Yeah, so going over there, and not much has changed. Like, they're going to run a run-pass option in the offense, run a 4-2-5 in the defense usually, and run those sets. But looking at their roster and who they played last week, maybe one sophomore on the field, a lot of juniors and seniors out there flying around. They're going to be experienced, aren't they? Yeah,
they have a really good football team. They beat a really good Knox Catholic team, and I think, they've got to be the favorite. They're the favorite in the region. They're the favorite in the East. They're the favorite in the state. Until somebody beats them, they're the favorite. And, I love all the accolades our team's getting. But I think Friday night will tell us a lot about both our teams.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, we say this, if you've got a couple of NCAA guys that are going to go on to the next level next fall and everything, those guys on that in that locker room, they want to play Maryville. They don't want to play somebody they want to play the best because they want to go out because they've got something to prove too. I mean, just to themselves, not to the college they are looking to go and represent next year, but just to themselves, don't they?
Well, you know, I think if you're made out of the right stuff, you want to play teams like Maryville, and to go on the road at Maryville, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I mean, what have you got to lose? I mean, they hadn't been beat there in 19 years, 20 years. You know, if you lose, well, you're just you're in that pool of losers. One of those 70 teams that left there as a loser. So, you know, that's what our mindset is. Our guys are going to go in there. They're going to go in there loose, and we're going to give it our best shot. And if that's not good enough, then, you know, there's 70 other teams that did the same thing before us. You know, 70 in a row. So at the end of the day, we're going to go in there loose and try to enjoy ourselves and know what a great environment it is. And playing a great team, it's going to be a great measuring stick for us to see where we are and how much further we got to go. Absolutely.
And they kick off, even though it's fast time, what we say, it'll be Eastern Standard Time. That kickoff's at 7:30, or is it?
7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get that right to the fans because we're all used to the 7 o'clock. So they're 30 minutes. That game will kick off 30 minutes ahead over there.
Yeah, 30 minutes ahead here, 30 minutes later for those guys.
Right.
They met us in the middle, and so maybe to give some people time to get off work and get up there and support the Patriots.
Well, let's give it up to one crew that doesn't get much at all. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about, you got a huge volunteer staff, and that may be from kids or managers or whatnot. And most coaches talk about them at the end of the season. I want to talk about them now because they're going to have a lot of pressure on them because you're going to be expecting them to step up and make sure that if we're wearing blue Friday night, we want to make sure we pack all the blue jerseys. Whatever the case may be, but talk a little bit about your the final wheels in the cog that really, logistically, from a football operation standpoint, they're a big part of your team.
Oh, no doubt. You know, Joseph Chrisman is our head manager.
Yes, sir.
And does a great job. I've talked to a couple schools. I remember the last in Stanford about what a great joy he is to be around and what a hard worker he is. And then we have a bunch of his assistants that help him out. You know, we've kind of give him the lead role, and then we have a lot of people that help him. As far as travel, we have a travel trailer that's pulled every week by Jerry Woodard. Jerry Woodard has been pulling my trailer since I was at Trousdale. So he owns a tire shop over there in Trousdale County, and shoot, Friday's going to close down on Thursday night, not even open it. Just get his butt over here as quick as he can, and like I said, you know, big supporter of the program. You know, uses his truck, his own gas, helps us set it up, brings it in. You know, it'll be 2:30 in the morning time we get back sometimes. He'll roll it out and, you know, never misses a beat. So those kind of guys that are really your football ops, your, you know, dealing with logistics and dealing with equipment, and they're invaluable. You know, and then don't forget we got a good booster club, the Oakland End Zone Club. You know, they're going to feed us Thursday night. We're going to have a good devotional Thursday night. They're going to turn right back around and feed us again on Friday. We're going to have a little snack before the game that they're going to, you know, make by hand, a little brown bag special.
Right.
And then, of course, at the end of the game, you know,
got to eat. I mean, it's going to be late.
Eat again. So, you know, those parents are working their tail off to make sure that every kid gets something to eat. You know, it's not just the starters.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're going to make sure that everybody gets treated good, and it's going to be a long trip. So we're going to, you know, feed them, and like I said, I just push that off on Regina Riley and some of those officers in the OEC, and they put people to work, and it's a great thing because it takes another thing off my plate.
Well, Region 3 6A will be in full support of you as you go over to Maryville, I assure you. Well, everybody, if you are not hanging around here, there's several games in town. I highly advise you to load up and go see a really great two football teams that are going to be revved up Friday night. And like we said, that'll be 6:30 here in Murfreesboro time, but that's 7:30 over just outside of Knoxville in Maryville, Tennessee, and the Maryville Rebs and the Oakland Patriots. Y'all be there.